All right, good morning then. Yeah, so welcome to the, what do we do? King of Prayers? Yeah, joking. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very aspirational prayer, an important prayer for particular the Bodhisattva ideal, right? And to accumulate merit, to move into the path of the Bodhisattvas all the way up to enlightenment. So it's very crucial to also have the correct motivation for that purpose, you know. So try to think about all countless beings who are undergoing, you know, the various types of suffering, of sickness, birth, sickness, aging and death, and then meeting things they don't like to meet, and never meeting things they like to meet, and yeah, never being satisfied, but in short, having contaminated aggregates, right? Having karma and afflictions that wanders. That's why beings wandering around the samsara. So have a wish to do something about it and to follow the Bodhisattva ideal in order to liberate them. And for that purpose, yeah, we go over the King of Prayers, you know. Yeah, so generate correct motivation. And then imagine in front of yourself Sakyamuni Buddha, surrounded by the masters of India, Tibet, and the other Buddhist traditions, if you like. And then surrounding yourself countless beings undergoing the various types of suffering we just saw. And then think you lead them all to enlightenment, and by reciting the prayers together. Then you, be the chanting master. Yeah.
Page 73 in the Golden Book. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, the gods I know of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Sakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sagata, know of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Sakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Sakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dhamma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bound with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits, may all sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the 4 faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on massive Vulture's Mountain in Rajgir, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan.
I prostrate to the gathering of
the keys in the 3 chakras who abide in the holy yoga of using space. By your powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation, look after practitioners like a mother her child.
Akasamara sasna samaraya pi
Tayata gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisoha. By the teachings of the 3 supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to Dhamma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and harmful conditions of Dhamma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dhamma, and may there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here, right now. Page 93, the foundation of all good qualities. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to the Guru is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon the Guru with great respect. Please bless me to rely upon the Guru with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. Its life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of come abiding and special insight. Please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of come abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. Please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long life. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. O Sashi Peki Juksing Me Tog Tramri
Sangye Chodang Suni Sunam Marudani Yasuji Dagi Cheshe Gibe Sunam Tola Pinshi Sangye Dobar Sho Sangye Chodang Suni Sunam Janju Barudani Yasuji Dagi Cheshe Gibe Sunam Tola Pinshi Sangye Dobar Sho Sangye Chodang Suni Sunam Janju Barudani Yasuji Dagi Cheshe Gibe Sunam Tola Pinshi Sangye Dobar Sho Chutun tu kangi tu zin nezwe tawa tanshi pangwa che tam chutun tu ba ko tam de la chat sa lo Yeah. So start with a quote I was thinking from one of the sutras. The sutra teaching the Tathagata's inconceivable secret. There it says, the accumulation of wisdom is what eliminates all mental afflictions. Yeah, so eventually we have to realize emptiness in order to eliminate.
Sorry to interrupt. Everybody, 249 in the Golden Book, you've got the King of Prayers.
People at home.
And everybody online should, I've sent it to you in an email.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's helpful.
Yeah. So, Kaza. Yeah. Yeah. Sutra teaching the secrets, the Tathagata's inconceivable secret, there it says, the accumulation of wisdom is what eliminates all mental afflictions. Yeah. So eventually we have to realize emptiness in order to eliminate afflictions, right? Yeah. And then with the Bodhisattva motivation, then of course you eliminate the manifest afflictions, imprints, seeds and imprints. Yeah. The accumulation of merit is what fully matures all sentient beings. Yeah. So the accumulation of merit is basically based upon, creating, according to the sutra system, creating the causes for the form bodies of a Buddha, right? That you able to accomplish the form bodies of a Buddha, like the enjoyment body and the emanation bodies, to benefit beings directly. So for that purpose, you need a huge accumulation of merit. Yeah, so you have two accumulations: wisdom and merit. Blessed one, since this is so, the Bodhisattva great beings put joyous effort in the accumulation of merit and wisdom. Because once, probably if you have very strong compassion, that is the, as we know, is the root cause or the fundamental or the substantial cause for bodhicitta to arise. Once that's been generated and once bodhicitta has been generated, then you can't wait to achieve enlightenment, right? Then if you really contemplate the suffering of others, then, and not just the suffering of others, but suffering any split second that beings are suffering, because all beings have, sentient beings have the, with exclusion, of course, of liberated beings, but all sentient beings, they have the opposite compounding form of suffering, right? All beings always in the nature of suffering, and not just always, but every moment, So if you really contemplate that aspect and you have bodhicitta, then you can't wait to achieve enlightenment, And you can't wait to achieve enlightenment, and for that purpose you need to get the right causes and conditions to achieve enlightenment. Yeah, you need the accumulations of merit and the accumulations of wisdom, So that's kind of what we're talking about here. That the blessed one. That's why the bodhisattvas, the great beings called the bodhisattva, put joyous effort in the accumulation of merit and wisdom in order to move to the path of enlightenment very quickly, And the thing is, if you go quick or not, that depends on skillful means, and that depends on, as we often say, there's two types of bodhisattvas, right? We have the bodhisattva of greater capacity and bodhisattva of lesser capacity, right? Did I say that? Faculties, right? A bodhisattva of greater faculty and a bodhisattva of lesser faculties. So that means that if you have greater faculties, then that bodhisattva is one way maybe more intelligent, but the other way there's more effort and there's more skillful means, Yeah, if you look, for example, at the different bodhisattvas of the past, like Samantabhadra, which is an essential bodhisattva related with the King of Prayers, he could just accumulate so much merit in a short period of time because of his powerful visualizations and his powerful intention. Or you can look at the always weeping bodhisattva that he created, one countless eon of merit in a short period of time, right? In a few years' time. So that means that if you have skillful means, then things go quick. And that's kind of why the King of Prayers is one of those prayers that has this skillful means of this vastness of how to have vast aspirations, how to have vast accumulation of merit, because the cause is vast. The cause initially, great compassion, is very vast. If you think about wanting to liberate all sentient beings without exception, that's a very vast wish, and that then develops into bodhicitta, and to want to not only liberate sentient beings from all the suffering beyond number or without exception, but also want to achieve enlightenment for that purpose, right? So that's the cause is very vast, and then the path is also very vast. If you look at the bodhisattva's activities, in the bodhisattva path, then also there is an incredible vastness present, as we're going to go over in the text, how to benefit beings in various ways, in countless kind of ways of aspiration, and countless kind of ways of offering, or the seven-limb prayer and things like that. So the more you visualize, the more vast aspects there are. And the prayers also is very important to make very vast. And then the result becomes vast, right? The result of Buddhahood becomes vast, So you see great masters of the past who, if you study this kind of text, then you know how to pray. Yeah, we often pray, may I in a future lifetime, may I meet the Dharma and then develop, or something like that. But you have to make much vaster prayers of becoming great scholars and great realized beings, and benefit world systems and teach billions of people. That kind of vast prayers we should make. To really not only accumulate merit, but create the causes for these kind of vast results, right? So the King of Prayers is one of those prayers that helps us to see how we actually should pray. Because prayer is a very important aspect of the path. If you see great masters, including Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for example, how much time they spent on dedication and making prayers in a very vast way, right? So that's the reason why they show that aspect, That's the reason, in order to create the right causes, accumulate merit. The more merit you have, then the quicker the path goes. That's very clear, that the more merit you have, then your wishes will be accomplished much quicker. And there's many sutra quotes, means if you have those who possess vast amounts of merits, their wishes will be fulfilled. So because if you have a wish, and of course in particular the wish for the Bodhisattva ideal, then if you have a lot of merits, then you accomplish those wishes much quicker, much easier. There's from many angles. In the quote we talked about the two accumulations: accumulation of merit, accumulation of wisdom. In order to realize emptiness, you need merit. In order to make your emptiness, giving the capacity to eliminate all obscurations of liberation, as well as the obscurations to omniscience, then with the accumulation of merit, it just goes quicker. You see that on the Bodhisattva bhumis, for example. They go into the meditation on emptiness, they come out of the meditation on emptiness, accumulate merit, and then go back in meditation again, right? So that's kind of very essential. The prayer in the West, we often have Buddhism, and many people are interested in changing the mind a bit, and a little bit of Lamrim, and a little bit Kasa, and the Bodhisattva ideal, but to really practice in the way the Bodhisattvas practice, that's not easy, right? Many people, that's why the faith in these prayers is very essential. Once you have faith, things move much quicker. That's often lacking with us. We're okay with reasonings and understandings of the scriptures, but when it comes to doing retreats and comes to having faith in these kind of practices, then it's a little bit more challenging, right? So that's why the people here present today are very fortunate to have interest in these points, because that's really something quite important. If you want to move towards enlightenment, of course, right? Okay, so the King of Prayers is a kind of, I think, one of the most recited prayers next to the 21 taras and other common prayers, but one of the most recited prayers in all the traditions, of Tibet. That's very clear. Most of the pujas we do, and in particular, there are many occasions there's the King of Prayers. In Sera J also we have 1 week of prayer festival towards the end of the year to commemorate Geshe Gyaltsen's showing the aspect of passing away. And then for 1 week we every day recite the King of Prayers a few times. Very moving. Junes, very, very inspiring, So that's because if you really contemplate the meaning while you're reciting it, then it's easy to accumulate a vast amount of merit in a short period of time. Because it's written by the Buddha, the King of Prayer comes from the Stammeray Sutra, and also that comes from the Gasa, the Sutra of the Ornaments of Bodhisattva, of the Buddhas, and also in the Sung, in the Dharanis, there's 2 aspects of this prayer you can find. So you can find it throughout the many sutras of the Buddha. And then the origin is kind of when, Sudana Kumara, I think. Sudana Kumara was an aspirant bodhisattva, and he was a disciple of Manjushri. And then Manjushri told him to go to one mountain. I've got the name. And then there was another teacher he should depend upon, and he went to that teacher. And then that teacher gave him an instruction and said, you should actually also depend on this teacher. And he sent him to another teacher. And then, before you know it, he had about 108 teachers, I think. And then he met the Samantabhadra. And the Samantabhadra was this. Then you see what you have to think, He was surrounded by countless emanations of himself, and also countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas around, and then they all put a hand on top of his head and then recited the King of Prayers. That comes from the sutra. So that's because why Samantabhadra? And he's also mentioned in 2 or 3 verses in the King of Prayers, because Samantabhadra was this person who had this incredible capacity of skillful means of visualizations, right? Of making countless offerings in every atom, or seeing Buddhas in every atom. And that's probably true if you have that kind of aspiration, because the Buddhas, you see, we here, and the Buddhas are the result, So if we, in the sutra system, it's very similar to the Vajrayana, if you take the result into the path, then it goes much quicker, because you're closer, So if you just, instead of just making prostrations and offerings to your altar, but if you, maybe your teachers are there, and some images are there, but then if you visualize, there's countless emanations of yourself making countless offerings, and also your teachers are in countless numbers, and the Buddhas also in countless numbers, then that's the reality, actually, that's the reality, that the Buddhas, the space is filled with the Buddhas, right? But we don't see them. So if you visualize them, you live in accordance to the result when you actually see them in the future, So in the sutra system also you can, that's what Samantabhadra does, right? Is in the sutra system, or showing the aspect in the sutra system, to take the result into the path, to visualize everything as pure lands, to visualize countless Buddhas, to make unsurpassable countless offerings. Then there's 2 things there. You create an incredible amount of merit to progress on the path. Maybe 3 things. Countless merit to progress on the path. You create direct causes to meet Buddhas, to see them directly, right? And also you create causes to be born in Pure Lands. There's also a few verses that is here being referred to, right? So it's vast merit. You actually meet the Buddhas in the future, and then you create causes to be born in the Pure Lands, So from those different angles, this is my own idea. It doesn't come from the commentary, but this came to my mind. But there's many commentaries. There's commentaries by Nagarjuna, Dignaga, Verachana Lotsawa, or Geshe, who translated also the text itself, and translated many sutras. Geshe, Verachana Lotsawa, amazing. Yeah. So this is a very inspiring biography of Vajrayana, if you want. What's called? I've got the title. What's the title again? The life, the life of Vajrayana, I think, or something like that. Yeah. Annie Jimbala, one of the. She's a Dutch nun, actually. She's from the Nyingma Kagyu, Nyingma tradition mainly. She translated also Brilliant Moon in the Gyaltsen Rinpoche's commentary, right? So she also, what is it? Something with image. I've got a title. No? There's a biography by Vajrayana. He translated many texts. Yeah, very inspiring. So there's various commentaries there, and then I read a few, but mainly I read Geshe Tenzin Namdak was kind of a master of the past, recent past, of a scholar of Serame monastery, who actually in his commentary he puts them all together. You know, Nagarjuna, Dignaga, and Vajrayana's kind of commentaries. You know, yeah. The great image, exactly. I knew there was something with image there. Yeah, the great image is very inspiring. Because he was like a real Bodhisattva, went through so much hardships, but still keep going, you know, for the benefit of the Dharma. Very inspiring. And he translated so many sutras, you know. Yeah, so that's kind of a very, also there's many cycles of Haikuriva, Dzogchen, who come to Vajrayana. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one, and then in English, I don't know. Somebody kindly read this book. It's also a very nice commentary by Geshe Rinpoche. You know, it's very nice commentary, also in English available. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably more in English, I think. Maybe you can do a screenshot or something. Yeah, you can see. Yeah. Yeah, that's also a nice one. Otherwise, I don't know really in English. No, is there other ones? Oh, probably. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit of the history of the King of Prayers and the different commentaries that are available. Yeah, because it's one of the most recited, probably in ancient India, same thing. That's why there's so many commentaries on it. But also in the current, particularly in the monastic institutions, the monasteries and nunneries, this prayer is recited so often, you know. Instead, also every, special day, we have the kind of dusang, or then also always recite this. And when people pass away, right? When people pass away, also this prayer is just so profound, because it summarizes an incredible path to enlightenment, right? And if you recite this prayer for a person who passed away, then it says in one of the verses also that negative karma, you know, can be influenced or purified. So when my father passed away also, then I went to ask for advice, in particular Khyentse Rinpoche Lobsang Tsering, and he said, you can sponsor various pujas, it's very good, but you have a karmic connection, so for you it's important to recite King of Prayers. So that's a very important aspect for people who pass away, you know, that the King of Prayers is one of the most recited prayers for if people pass away, for example. That's the first prayer they do, you know, next to the Vajrayana, Lama Chirpa, and of course then self-initiation and things like that. But from the sutra system, then the King of Prayers next to medicine Buddha practices are the most common ones, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look then at the King of Prayers, you know. Papa Zangbo Chube. Yeah, so Papa Zangbo Chube Mulam Ki Gyabo Sa. So it says the King of Prayers, yeah, because it's like a king or queen in the sense of being, you know, the most important person in a country. So here it's one of the most important prayers among all the prayers, right? Yeah. And that's the king or queen aspect. And the prayer, mullam, we have different mullams, right? We have a prayer in general. Yeah, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, for example. That's a prayer. Or you can have a dedication, that is a prayer, right? There's a difference between prayer and dedication. Yeah? A dedication, you say, by the virtue of this, or by the good deeds of this, may I become a Buddha. Yeah? So you can just say, may I become a Buddha, which is a prayer. But when you say, by the virtue of accumulating this, it also comes up in this prayer, or by having done this, may I become a Buddha. Yeah? So that's a dedication as well as a prayer. Yeah? So that's kind of the aspect of prayer, right? The meaning of prayer. And then we have prayers as aspirations for us, ordinary beings, so to say. And then you have prayers and aspirations of the bodhisattvas, right? And then on the 8th ground of the bodhisattvas, the 8th bhumi, then the perfection of prayer is there. Yeah? If you study the grounds and paths, there's 10 bhumis and there's 10 perfections instead of the normal 6, right? You have 4 more perfections. And then on ground 8 bhumi, then is the perfection of prayer. Yeah? So it's a very important aspect of and we also say kasa dzog min jang sum, that you maturing, you perfect dzog, you perfect your aspirations. Yeah, so you make your prayers and your aspirations you make perfect, right? So you make the perfect prayer. You have the perfect aspirations. That's not that's a threefold practice of the bodhisattvas, because certain verses are related with that. Yeah, so you find that back in the Abhishekalankara, for example. So what are those 3 things? Is dzog min jang sum. Dzog means to complete, with reference to complete or perfect one's aspirations. Yeah, to become a Buddha, to eliminate suffering in various ways. Yeah, so that's the first step of what a Buddha engages in, right? Then the second one, dzog min. Min is the aspect of maturing sentient beings. Yeah, as we know, in the bodhisattva practice, we eliminate negative deeds. Yeah, the 3, as we just read in the foundation of all good qualities. So even though I have generated bodhicitta, but if I do not practice 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Yeah, we just read that verse. So that means that even though you have bodhicitta, if you don't engage in 3 types of morality, meaning eliminating negative deeds, practicing virtue, and working for the benefit of beings, you will not achieve enlightenment, right? Yeah. So then, working for the benefit of beings is then referring to the second point of maturing sentient beings, right? To let sentient beings mature their mind streams, yeah, to help them to progress. Yeah. So you have the first point is to complete or to perfect your aspirations as a bodhisattva. The second one is to mature the minds of sentient beings, right? And then the third one is then dzog min jang sum, to purify realms and beings, to establish, which means to establish pure lands. Yeah, so eventually when you become a Buddha, you will have pure lands or a pure land. Yeah, so you do those 3. That's 3 very important aspects of the bodhisattva training. You can find back in the Abhishekalankara of completing or perfecting your aspirations, to mature the mind of sentient beings, and to purify realms in a sense of establishing pure lands. Because if you practice in those, because for some it's just very helpful to go to pure lands. Yeah, if once you're born in the pure lands, enlightenment is guaranteed. We did, I think, last year or the year before, right? We did something on the pure lands. But at the present time, because there's highest yoga tantra available, then it's faster to follow the highest yoga tantra. There's even bodhisattvas from the pure lands who pray to be born as a human at the present time in order to progress quick on the path. But yeah, in future states of existence, when beings are not capable of practicing the highest yoga tantra anymore, then it's helpful if you have various pure lands where beings can go to and become enlightened or are guaranteed to achieve enlightenment. Yeah. So that's kind of another aspect. Pure Lands in that way is a very important aspect of the Bodhisattva training eventually, right? And if you're higher on the Bodhisattva paths, Yeah. Okay, so that is Mulam Gigyabo, or the meaning of King of Prayers, right? In Tibetan, and it says extra or aspiration of the practice Samantabhadra. Yeah, because it says Pakpa Sangbo or Arya Samantabhadra. Yeah, so you could think it's the person Samantabhadra, or you could think as the behavior he engaged in, right? So that's mainly referring to the behavior Samantabhadra engaged in. Yeah, so this prayer is referring to that aspect. Or you could say, in general speaking, not the person Samantabhadra, but because Samantabhadra is related with the story of the history of this particular prayer, as well as the way the offerings or how to make offerings are being described, also comes from, or Samantabhadra did similarly. So that's why you can say Samantabhadra here is referring to the person, but also is, if you translate it, Kunde Zangpo means, if you translate it, is a good, and Kunde Zangpo Chöba means good conduct, right? So sometimes that's why also the prayer is been translated as the prayer of good conduct, I think, Yeah. Kunde Zangpo Chöba, So, the behavior or the conduct of good conduct or good behavior. Yeah, Kunde Zangpo. Always having good conduct, always having good behavior. Okay, so that's about the title. Yeah, then we go into the text, and then, when Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave the 8 verses of mind training in Serra once, he was teaching for hours. And then the last 3 minutes, he recited one verse and then said the rest is like a prayer and then rushed through it. So maybe do the same. Because it's 62 verses, right? So let's see. Because most of you are familiar with the 7-limb prayer and things like that, right? So anyway, let's see how it goes. Yeah, I spent some time in reading the commentaries, making notes, but then often when I sit here, then I say something else. Yeah. Okay. So, the first part, it says, so that's the title. Then you say, I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri. Yeah, so that's kind of the praise made by Vairochana Lotsawa, right? The translator of the text. Yeah, he as there's a tradition in Tibet, always to pay homage before you start a translation. Yeah, and then you pay homage. These days some translators, they pay homage to the family members or something before they write a book. But the translators of the past, they did it in relation to a full enlightened being, because then you create merit and it removes obstacles to complete the text, right? Yeah. So and that's why I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri. Because Manjushri, it comes also up in the text. It's also, and Manjushri showed initially, in order for this prayer to come about, and the history, as we just talked about, is that Kasa Sudana Kumara, when he went first to Manjushri, and then Manjushri sent him to the different teachers, and then eventually he met Samantabhadra, right? But you could also think that it belongs to the Kasa Mobadenu, it belongs to the Abhidhamma Pitaka, because in the traditional way, the translator pays homage to Manjushri. That means that particular text belongs to the Abhidhamma Pitaka. When it pays homage to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, it belongs to the Sutra Pitaka. And when the translator pays homage to the omniscient one, it belongs to the Vinaya Pitaka, right? That's just how the 3 baskets or the 3 Pitakas normally the texts have been divided, how one and where does it fall in one of the Pitakas, right? So that's kind of different interpretations you can give to that, I suppose. So then the first, I put also numbers there. the first 11 verses, they are in relation with the 7-limb prayer, right? So most of you are extremely familiar with the 7-limb prayer, maybe more than I am. So maybe we don't have to go in great details. And if you really want to have a commentary in English on these 7-limb prayers, then you can refer to Lama Tsongkhapa's great exposition of the stages of Lamrim, right? Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim Chemo, there it is very clearly explained, these 7 limbs, if you look in the Bodhisattva section, not in the Bodhisattva section. Which section is that? I think in the beginning somewhere, right? When he explains the Georgia practice, no? I think, yeah. So then you can look there how to... That is a very nice commentary, verse by verse. Yeah. Okay, so then we know, just to go over briefly, the first verse is then referring to prostration with your 3 doors, right? With the body, speech and mind, yeah? And then it says, if you just think about, here you say, lions amongst humans gone to freedom in the past, in the present, past and future, and the 10 directions, you see? And then with your body, speech and mind, you pay homage or you bow down. So yeah, if you really think about pay homage to one Buddha, just with your body or just with your speech or just with your mind, that has already incredible benefits, right? So if you pay homage to countless Buddhas with countless bodies and countless speeches and countless minds you can think or emanate countless aspects of yourself and pay homage and bow down, then of course the result is much vaster, So when you do prostrations like the 35 Buddhas of confession or something like that, then don't think it's just one body there, but think about all the bodies of all your previous lifetimes who have created countless negative karma, right? That all those bodies of all previous lifetimes actually are engaging in the prostration. And then thinking then at the same time all the negativities you've done with body, speech and mind, or the 10 non-virtues with those countless bodies, then of course it's much more powerful, And then if you, instead of just visualizing the 35 Buddhas as a kind of solid entity over there, think that the whole space is filled with Buddhas, right? Or emanations of the 35 Buddhas, and each atom of those 35 Buddhas also possesses 35 Buddhas, right? So then that's the power of the mind. It's so important in these prayers, that if you just make one offering or you make countless offerings, there's a huge difference, So that's why that kind of comes up a lot in this text, and there's a reason for that, to visualize in a very vast way, Yeah, so many masters of the past, including Lama Zopa Rinpoche, was one of he put so much emphasis on countless offerings. Whenever you went to see Rinpoche's room or even in a hotel. Rinpoche. So in Bangalore, Rinpoche had a lot of posters and blue tack with him, and then all the walls were just like stuck to it with images, Yeah, even on top of the TV set. Yeah. And then Rinpoche comes inside, and then open door, and then make prayer, and then presses the light, and then prayer again. So if you practice in that way, then every second you actually create huge causes for enlightenment, right? And accumulation of merit. Yeah, and that's why Rinpoche always so vast offerings. If you see Rinpoche's houses wherever you go, there's always offerings and tangas everywhere. In Dharamsala, Rinpoche's room, there's so many tangas. Once to see Rinpoche, you had to go underneath the tanga. Yeah. Because Rinpoche was there on the bed and there was all tangas, his private quarters. Yeah, you have to be careful because so many holy objects. Yeah. So that's kind of a sign that seems to be important, right? And also, when you see the great prayer festivals in the different traditions in Bodhgaya, for example, of Geluk, Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, there's always countless offerings there, Yeah. So that comes not just because it's a ritual, or there's a custom, or there's a reason, right? That we want to get close to Buddhahood, you know. So that's exactly why that's like that. You see? Yeah. Okay. So that's the 3 doors. The first verse is referring to the 3 doors. Then 2, 3. The next 3 verses is individual: body, speech, and mind. Yeah. So the first verse is just the 3 doors together: body, speech, and mind together. And then the second verse is the body. The next verse is the body. Yeah. With energy aspiration of the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect and many bodies as atoms of the world. Yeah, we just talked about already. So then think that all your bodies making prostrations, and each atom in those bodies also are, you know, aspects of yourself making prostrations, right? So then, if you do it in that way, then with one prostration you do actually billions of prostrations, if you do the visualization accordingly, you know? Yeah. A sense of deep respect and with many bodies as in the world. To all your Buddhas visualized as real, you know, that's important. Not just think there is a Buddha statue there, but think it is the actual Buddha. Yeah, it's very clear in all the rituals. If you, even in the sutra, it's very clear. If you, for example, take, I don't know, you probably remember, if you take refuge or you take the lay vows, then it always says in the ritual, first, while seeing the Buddha image as the actual Buddha, make 3 prostrations, right? So in all the rituals, it always refers to see the image as the actual Buddha. You know, we have many statues, we have many tangas, but if you read the King of Prayers, then you know how to look at it. Yeah. One of my friends, he asked Kandala recently for consecrating a little statue. And then Kandala said, put it on her crown and said, you know, she said, if you have really faith in the King of Prayers, then you don't have to do any consecration, because the Buddhas are already there. You know, it's very interesting, because the consecration is just for our mind to of course, there's blessing of the ritual, of course, that's all there, but if you really have faith in the King of Prayers, then all the Buddhas already descend in your statues, and your statues are not just statues, but they actually are the Buddhas, right? Yeah. So then, with that discriminating factor, if you just put your hands together or you make an offering, then you accumulate huge amount of merits. Yeah? Then, if you think it's not the statue or not just one Buddha, but every atom of that statue contains countless Buddhas, then, of course, then because if you make offerings or prostrations in this case anyway, then you might as well visualize in that way, and there's much more benefit, right? Yeah. So by seeing them visualized as real, as actual Buddha, and then also you can think about, you know, being empty of inner existence, you know, Buddhas visualized real. And then when you think about Buddhas, then in one of the commentaries it says, in Tibetan it says Gyawa, right, which means victorious one, we say, right? So what does that mean, victorious one? Being the victory over the maras, right, over the 4 maras, yeah, the maras of the afflictions, as we know, the maras of the aggregates, yeah, contaminated aggregates, the maras of the afflictions, the mara of contaminated debt, and then one is the mara of, it's different interpretations to the 4th one, the mara of desire, or you could think external forces, right? So the Buddha, as we have here, there, the plague, when the Buddhas, the maras, they shoot the arrows to the Buddha, remember? And then it all appears as flowers in front of the Buddha, right? So that's a sign that we visualize the Buddhas as real, as actual Buddhas, being empty of inherent existence, but also with understanding that they completely beyond, from the point of view they have eliminated all afflictions with their seeds and their imprints, right? And there's nothing that can harm them anymore, right? So that's what we like to acquire, you know? Yeah. So that's the verse on prostration with the body. Then the next one is prostration with the mind. Yeah, it says on every atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms. Yeah, that's just with your mind you walk with that. Each amid a host of bodhisattvas, and I'm confident in the sphere of all phenomena, is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. Yeah, so you think that's why we visualize merit fields, right? For the same purpose, to put imprints in the mind. If you just by by merely seeing an image of the Buddha, even with a mind of anger, you still create causes for enlightenment, right? Yeah. So that is, Atisha quotes that in his works, and then he quotes from the Tenzin Gyalpo-do, you know, the Kasa, King of Concentration Sutra, yeah, where it says very clearly, by merely seeing an image of a Buddha, even when the mind is disturbed, you create causes for enlightenment, you know. So then, the more you visualize, then with mind of faith, then of course there's much more power there, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's prostration with the mind. Then the next verse is prostration with the speech, with infinite oceans of praise for you, an ocean of sounds, an aspect of my voice. I sing bread-like accents of the Buddhas and celebrate the all gone to bliss. Yeah. So also try to not rush through prayers, and then it's very easy to do that. I also do that myself very often. But it's good to contemplate the meaning, and that's why sometimes we have tunes to go slow. You know, in Tibetan it's chantable, right? And then there's a movement, because the tune sometimes is often comes from pure visions, right? So if you have pure visions, then that carries kind of blessing. You know, there's very moving tunes from this prayer. You know. Yeah, and then the voice is also an offering, you know. If you offer a beautiful voice, then that might inspire others, or that you accumulate merit with that as well, you know. So, for example, just recently when Kandula was in London, then Alexander Rinpoche also was there. And then Alexander Rinpoche, very humble, he's one of the highest lamas in Nyingma tradition, but nobody noticed that, because he just sits in the back, right? Extremely humble, you know. Even Kandula once tried to make prostration, he ran off. Yeah, because he had a commitment with one of his teachers in the early days that he should not do certain activities like that. It'd be very kind of, I say, like Pato Rinpoche's biography, right? Exactly, Sangha Rinpoche, exactly like that, you know. But very lama, you know. So he told Kandula, he said to Kandula, "Oh, Kandula," he said, "your voice," he said, "even people who don't have faith in the Dharma, if they just hear your voice, they generate faith." It's very interesting, you know. So that means if you, with a pleasant voice, you can inspire people, right? It's very clear, you know. Yeah. So here also with you know what it says, aspects of my voice, and there's various aspects in the commentaries to be. One aspect is to be profound, yeah. Profound, it probably refers also to the understanding of the meanings, right, when you chant it. And then there's one aspect, the second aspect is to be melodious, you say? Melodious, right, to chant in a nice way, as an offering, not as an attachment, you know, because that can happen when we recite praise and we get attached to the tune, and then la 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 la, and then we just taken away by the attachment of the tune. That's not. So that's why we see the authentic tunes of these prayers, they often come from pure visions. That the masters of the past, they see the Dakinis singing, or the goddesses of the Pure Land singing. And then they use those tunes, right? So that carries a very uncommon blessing. There's very many tunes still present like that. In Gyume Monastery, Gyume Tantric College, for example, there's very moving tunes from when Lama Tsongkhapa, you know, had visions, or when we recite, for example, Lama Chöpa Talk Offering, and there's the Song of the Spring Queens, right? So the Song of the Spring Queens, the melody we do, is actually comes from Lama Tsongkhapa when he heard the Dakini singing, right? So, and that's why it carries a blessing. People who just listen to it, they get moved sometimes, right? So that's why, sometimes in the West people make all kind of tunes of different things. Depends on the realization, of course, but if you have these tunes of the pure visions, then there's a kind of a blessing there, for sure, right? Yeah. So melodious, right? And then pleasant, yeah, that's another aspect. Pleasant to the ear, yeah, or we say Yido Ongwa means a pleasant appearance, you know, yeah. And perceptible, you can say, perceptible, something. Is it not perceptible or not? to the people listening, right?
More like audible.
Audible, okay, audible then, okay, audible, and appropriate or worthy, or yeah. So meaning with also from the mind, there should be kind of good understanding why you're doing this, right? Yeah, yeah. So there's a few aspects you can find back in the commentaries. Yeah. So that's the prostration, right? So then if those who have, everybody has the same file, also people like, yeah. So then there's page 250, right, the next page.
Oh, no, sorry, it's
Oh.
not some people have got the book,
Mm.
250,
Another file, okay. Anyway, we now in the verse called Beautiful Flowers. Yeah. Beautiful flowers and fragrant garlands. Yeah, so here, this verse and the next verse, the two verses, yeah, beautiful flowers, which starts with beautiful flowers, and the verse with fine dress. Those two verses are surpassable offerings. Yeah, so general, I won't say ordinary, but kind of general offerings, you could say. And the verse after that, where it says with transcendent offerings, pillars and vast, that is unsurpassable offerings. Yeah? So surpassable offerings are more the common ones we normally offer, right? And then we transform them in unsurpassable ones, right? Yeah. Or you have a discriminating factor, they already in unsurpassable. So the surpassable offerings, flowers, garlands, music, scented oils, parasols, sparkling lights, and sublime incense, I offer to the victorious ones. Yeah, so that can be actual offerings you have on your altar and imagined. If you want to know more about these offerings, then you should read things like the Sakyamuni Buddha Puja, right? There's a very elaborate verses on these points, right? What to visualize and what the garlands and the parasols and things like that. Yeah. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood, powder, heap high as Mount Meru, and wondrous offerings, particular way, are offered to the victorious ones. Yeah, so there's different offerings to, of the different aspects of the objects of the senses, you could say, right? As well as in a pure form, as well as all kind of other offerings, because every offering has a symbolic meaning. For example, the royal the royal objects. How do you say that? Emblems, right? The royal emblems and 8 auspicious signs and things like that. That each and every of those offerings has a meaning. So the more you understand the meaning behind it, and then you offer, then that is much more profound. Yeah, same if you do your mandala offering, then the better your visualization and understanding of the meaning of the individual offerings, you create causes according to that, right? Yeah. So that's kind of here with mandala. Mostly we do after the 7 limbs, but yeah, you can also offer mandala as an offering, right? As also in the Georgia Lamdak Puramishes, for example, tradition. Also, when you do the 7-limb prayer, you also do mandala at the levels of the offerings, right? Yeah, because the mandala offering is just very, if you do it correctly, there's nothing more superior, because it includes the whole universe, right? So if you offer the whole universe, there's nothing more than the whole universe, right? So that's why the mandala offering is very, very profound. Yeah. Okay, so those two verses are surpassable offerings. Then the verse that starts with transcendent offerings, peerless and vast, yeah, that is unsurpassable offerings. So what does that mean, unsurpassable offerings? Yeah, so then you could think offerings by the power of the concentration of these great bodhisattvas. Yeah, you can think like that. But you can also think from within the bodhisattva motivation and understanding of emptiness. That's how they make these offerings, right? These advanced practitioners of the bodhisattva ideal, these bodhisattvas, they have bodhicitta and they have realization of emptiness, and particularly these Arya bodhisattvas, a direct perception of emptiness. So then, whatever offerings they make with their mind is unsurpassable, right? Yeah. So it's kind of, and we know that the more when you make offerings, we say Oma Hum. Yeah, it's also very important. to do that, you make water bowl offerings or whatever offering you do on the altar, or light offerings, is very essential to say Om Ahum, you know, because there's this kind of this kind of spirits who can create obstacles, you know. They just gather somewhere, and there's like countless of them, you know. Yeah. So then, if you say Om Ahum, then you prevent obstacles, you know. Yeah, into offerings. So that's what we often do, right? Maybe incense the water bowls before we offer the water bowls. We say Om Ahum, or you can visualize Om Ahum in each water bowl when you fill them, you know. Yeah, so that's kind of seems to be quite important in the oral tradition, and there's quite a lot of emphasis on that. And any other form of offering you put on your altar, if it's flowers or biscuits or food or clothing like here, or parasols, and if you say Om Ahum, then it's very, you bless it, you know. And then it's more towards the unsurpassable aspect, right? Because that is to the pure aspect of based on the minds of these holy beings with motivated bodhicitta and the realization of kasa, emptiness, you know. Yeah, so also think when you make offerings, think you making the offerings, and the offering and the act of making offerings is all empty of inherent existence, right? Yeah, so then also your offerings become less contaminated. Yeah, and the cause of merit is less contaminated, right? Yeah, that's kind of why we try to always look, and there's a few verses down the line also talks about the 3 rounds of being empty of inherent existence, right? Yeah. And also when you sing songs, not just songs, but the prayers, as we just saw in the previous verses, if you recite from memory, it's much easier to contemplate, you know? So if you recite from memory things, then it's very interesting just to recite with a good motivation and then see who is reciting, you know, who actually is there. And you see it's very interesting. Then you see the things coming out, but there's no I to be found who actually does it, right? So yeah, if you contemplate those things when you recite prayers or you make offerings, then the virtue you accumulate becomes less contaminated because of your understanding of emptiness to a certain regard, in a certain sense, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's because then the offerings also, they become unsurpassable, right? Yeah. Not just ordinary, but with a good motivation, of course, bodhicitta, and then think about the 3 rounds being empty of inherent existence, and then just contemplate. You know? And also, what I found also helpful, if you make offerings, then there's a very nice prayer by Lama Zopa Rinpoche of the light offering, you know? So you make offerings, and then you sit down, and then you read that. Because then the Rinpoche says, oh, think that you make offerings to all the holy objects in the world, like Bodhgaya, and you think they're all in the essence of the virtuous friend, and then you think about all the centers and all the statues in the different centers, and you make offering to all those statues in a different centers as being, the essential nature of the virtuous friend, and then you go to all pilgrimage places and things like that. So just a few verses, right? Rinpoche is very skillful in that. It's helpful because sometimes we make offerings, we sit down and we're bored, or we don't know, our mind is just stuck. So then if you have a prayer like this, it helps to think, you know. That's why we do prayers. It's just a guide, right? It's a meditation guide, or in this case, a guide in making offerings, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so transcendent offering, pillars and vast, profound admiration of all the Buddhas, strength and conviction in the Bodhisattva way. I offer bow down to all victorious ones. Yeah. So that's offerings. Then the next verse is referring to confession. Every harmful action. Every harmful action I've done, the body, speech and mind, so you can think about the 10 non-virtues, right, you have engaged in, and since beginner's lifetime. And that's, of course, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and ignorance. It says here confusion, but of course, ignorance is a confusion. But all these I openly lay bare before you, yeah? Shakpa, we say in Tibetan. Confession in Tibetan we say shakpa. Shak means if you have a tree, you know, a trunk of a tree, and you know what's inside, you cut it and then you open it. Right? That's the meaning of shakpa, of confession. So that means you just open your mind and you completely acknowledge that you did something wrong, or you that everybody can see. You know, that's the meaning of shakpa, of confession. You know, yeah. So then all the Buddhas you imagine in front, and you just say, if you open or not, they know anyway. You know, so all the Buddhas, they know exactly what we are doing. You know, so that's what we often say. That helps us to have what we call often self-dignity, as we translate sometimes, and embarrassment, right? Yeah. So self-dignity is for yourself. We translate as shame sometimes, but there's a lot of negative quotations in modern society. So then we can use kasa, self-dignity, right? For the point of view that you think yourself, oh, you Buddhist practitioner and you engage in these negative deeds, that's not correct, right? So you correct yourself, you know? That's for yourself, right? Shame or self-dignity is related to yourself. Embarrassment is in relation to others. Yeah. So then, what will others think if I engage in negative deeds? Yeah. So then, if you know that all the Buddhas are there, then you think twice before you're engaging in negative deeds, right? And as Atisha said, if you're with others, watch your speech and your physical behavior. If you're by yourself, watch your mind, right? So that's kind of very clear advice. Yeah. And then the confessing aspect is to openly confess, you know, without hiding anything. Because the hiding aspect is what we call, chaba, chapsem. It's very dangerous. When you hide negative deeds, you prevent yourself from purifying. Yeah, in the Vinaya, there's a lot of material about the drawbacks of concealment, as we technically call it, right? Chaba. Concealment. So never conceal any mistakes or negative karma. Just openly confess it, you know. Then you can really purify. If you conceal, then it's very difficult to purify, you know. Yeah. And the results, of course, will be more disastrous if you conceal it, right? Okay. Yeah, and then you have the four opponent powers, and then you'll know that, right? The four opponent powers. It's very important to have the regret, you know, a constructive form of regret, so essential. That's one of the main initial opponent powers, right? Without regret, it's very difficult to purify. Yeah. So there's a kind of constructive form of regret to really understand, not the self-guilt feeling. That is called an affliction. Yeah. Low self-esteem, self-guilt, that we define as an affliction, a disturbing emotion. Regret in this context is a very constructive mind. That just see, okay, I did something wrong, I created negative karma, I confess it, purify it, and that's it. Don't worry about it too much. That's kind of the real regret, right? It's very important. Yeah? So once you have done something wrong, you confess it, you do purification practice accordingly, and then move on. Rather than just, we did this, we did that. Then temporarily you just do it, and then you purify, and then you move on. Yeah, that's kind of what the real regret is all about. Yeah. And then the power of reliance, the second opponent power, right? The power of reliance, you rely on taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, right? Because refuge, you purify negative karma in relation with the three jewels, in particular the Buddhas, and with bodhicitta, you purify the negative karma in relation with sentient beings, right? Yeah. So that's why the power of reliance is purifying the negative karma in relation with two persons, right? Sentient beings and Buddhas. That's what it is. There's no other beings where, if in relation with, you have created negative karma. So that's why the power of reliance is kind of, that's what we call it, reliance, because you have, in relation to two persons, Buddhas and sentient beings, you have created negative karma, and now you rely on taking refuge, so you purify negative karma in relation with the Buddhas, and you rely on bodhicitta, so you purify negative karma in relation with sentient beings, right? So that's power of reliance. And the power of the antidote, that can be Vajrasattva, that can be 35 Buddhas, that can be a prayer like this. Every virtue you engage in. Also later on, towards the end of this prayer, it also says if you recite this and then you purify negative karma before you die, right? Which otherwise will throw you in a lower state of rebirth, for example, or can throw you. So that's kind of reciting this prayer also by itself is an antidote, yeah, in the purification process, the power of the antidote. And then the last opponent power is, of course, the opponent power of resolve. Recall that, right? Yeah. Power of resolve, meaning now I don't do this negative deeds anymore. You promise that, but then you promise that for a time you can keep it. Yeah. So don't promise for the rest of my life, because if you promise for the rest of your life and in a few weeks' time you get angry and you do the same mistake over again, then you think, it's too difficult, forget it. But if you say, tomorrow I'm not going to get angry, I try. And then you do it and you accomplish that, and then in the evening you say, great, I'm going to try another day. And you do another day, and then, great, I'm going to try 2 days, yes. Then 2 days and 3 days, and then you see, then the power of resolve is very powerful, right? To promise shorter periods at a time. Or, as Zone is often explained in this master, this very pure monk, very honest monk also, I should say, in the bi-monthly confession, we do that normally every 2 weeks, and then in the end there's kind of, do you see the faults of faults? Yes, I do. And do you henceforth restrain yourself? Yes, I do. So you do that 3 times, right? And there was one monk, he said, do you see your faults of fault? Yes, I do. Do you henceforth restrain yourself? And then he said, I will try. In the ritual, out loud. And then His Holiness thought, that's very honest. So that's true. We have to be honest, right? Yeah. So try to promise for the period you keep, right? And then you move. Yeah. Okay. So that's the confession with the 4 opponent powers. Yeah. So that's these things very clearly explained in the Lamrim Chenmo and other sources, right? Yeah. Then rejoicing. Yeah. I lift up my heart and rejoice in the positive potential of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, 10 directions, so that I realize healers still in training, and those beyond, and all of ordinary beings. So this includes all persons, So if you read this verse and you just sit down with a cup of something, or tea cake or something like that, then you just rejoice. And then it's such an easy way to accumulate merit, If you're a bit tired or whatsoever, instead of doing all kind of other different things, if you just sit down and rejoice in others' merit, or just recite this verse, which includes all persons, right? Buddhas and sentient beings, Then, what they say, in the commentaries, if you rejoice in somebody who's higher developed than yourself, for example, His Holiness Dalai Lama, right? If you rejoice in His Holiness Dalai Lama, you get a part of the merit, as we say. Sometimes they say half of it or part of the merit of that particular activity, right? So then you think about the various activities of the various lifetimes of His Holiness Dalai Lama, for example, of working for the benefit of beings, and then the Buddha doctrine in Tibet, and before that in India, So you rejoice in all those individual activities, right? So you get a part of the merit, or sometimes they say half of the merit, right? If there's a person who is equally developed, like yourself, then you get an equal amount, right? And if there's a person who is lesser developed than yourself, and that you see them doing something good, you think, oh wow, that's amazing, And you rejoice in that aspect, you get, double the amount or more merit, right? So the merit is one. Rejoicing is such an easy way. Lama Tsongkhapa said it's the easiest way to accumulate merit without too much effort, And also it's extremely good antidote to its jealousy, right? Yeah, so when people sometimes, even in Dharma, you meet people, this person, and then people get jealous or something like that. But if you rejoice, like, oh wow, yes, that person also has amazing qualities. Of course, we all make mistakes, but amazing qualities. And then you rejoice in those qualities. Yeah. And you see, if you talk about faults of others, the conversation is very uncomfortable. But if you talk about the qualities of others, it's very uplifting, And if you want to uplift yourself and move forward, then it's better to talk about the qualities of others, right? Yeah. Of course, if you have to address an issue, you address it, of course, but don't forget the qualities, right? Yeah. Don't get afflictions like anger involved. Yeah. Okay, so that's rejoicing. Yeah, so those on the path and those not on the path. Then the request to teach. Yeah. You who are the bright lights in the worlds of 10 directions, who obtain Buddha's omniscience to the state of awakening, all of you my guides, please turn the wheel of Supreme Dharma. Yeah, so that's so important to make prayers, to teach the vast and profound, you could say, right? So that means we talk about quite a few times the vast and profound, or the direct realizations of the teachings on emptiness and the hidden meaning of the stages of the path, right? Or the realizations, so to say. Or the Sutra and Tantra, very important to recite this verse. Because we need to depend on teachers again and again, right? If you reach kind of seventh bhumi, you know, then it's, seventh bhumi is called Riksong. Riksong we do Dharma Kirti on the Wednesday, so it comes up, I think, in the coming week, or maybe a week after. The Riksong is the Bodhisattva on the seventh ground. Is such a capacity of the mind. It doesn't really directly to depend upon the teachings anymore of the sutras in order to meditate on things, you know. But until then, we still always have to depend on teachings, right? So, very important to request. You know, if you retreat, wherever you are, and just always request to receive, you know, the Kangyu, the Tengyur, and then if you follow Gelug or Lama Tsongkhapa and the two sons, and not only transmissions but also explanations of everything, or the 5 texts, and then the Sutra and Tantra and things like that. Just make your request vast, not just, oh, may I receive the Buddha doctrine? No, make it vast, like this text, that text. And then you really create causes to receive. Really. If you really want to receive one particular text, make some prayers, and then things will go. You know, it's very, very, very true. Yeah. So that's very important to make requests to teach. Yeah. And then supplications not to go into parinirvana. Also extremely important, because without that, the gurus might show early parinirvana, right? So very important to make... and then you see, often when a guru shows the aspect of being sick or whatsoever, then disciples do a lot of prayers and things change, you know. Yeah, so that's kind of from our, you know, when His Holiness, I mentioned that in the other group, when His Holiness in the 90s, late 90s, there was a lot of chicken farms in Tibetans running chicken farms in South India. And then His Holiness said, if you don't stop that, I will have a short life. So they stopped. So you see, so it's depending on the karma of beings, right? So it's very essential, you know, that we have to create the causes for the teachers to have a long life. You know, it's very important to have harmonious relationships in the different centers, and then on top of that, make strong prayers, you know, for long and healthy life. Very important. Okay? With palms together, I earnest request to you, actualize parinirvana. But also in all future lifetimes, and the gurus show the noble path, and never to always have a long life, healthy, and be able to teach. Not just have long life and meet them, but also to teach, right? That's very important, because that we need. Please stay with us for numberless eons, atoms of the world. With peace and happiness, all wonders and samsara. So for these 2 verses, to teach, and the supplications, the request to teach, and the supplication not to go into parinirvana, you can use it as we just described, but you can also use it as a resultant aspect. His Holiness once explained that in Bodhgaya. That when you recite this, you take the responsibility. I will teach sentient beings in order to lead them to enlightenment. And I will keep going like that, you know. And I will not go into parinirvana until I have accomplished my tasks. You know, that's also from us to maybe we don't have the qualifications yet to teach, but it doesn't mean you don't get them in the future, right? So that's very important, to make this strong, vast visions that I will become a great scholar and a realized being, and I'm going to teach, and I'm going to liberate sentient beings, you know? That's not when you are qualified or when you asked by your own teachers to do that, right? So not that you go and say to everybody, "Oh, I'm here. I can teach everywhere if you like me to teach." You know? Like, there's many people like that. But yeah, that's maybe not always a good sign, you know. So but we have to make these vast prayers, you know, that once you have the qualifications and once your own teachers tell you to do it, then of course, then there's great benefit, or can be great benefit. Don't talk about this person sitting in front of you, because that person, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I just do it because my teachers ask me to do this, but other than that, there's no qualities. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of important aspects of the 7-limb prayer, right? And then the dedication. Yeah, so the dedication, whatever slight positive potential I have created by paying homage, offering, acknowledging my faults, rejoicing in Buddha's teach, and stay and now dedicate full awakening. So that's kind of dedicating the previous 6 limbs, right? Yeah, so the 7-limb prayer, one is the aspect of dedication. With, as we said, dedication is a prayer, but there are prayers that are not a dedication. So that is a dedication, that is a prayer as well, because he said, by the power of, or whatever slight potential I have created, may this come about. Yeah, so that is dedication as well as a prayer. Yeah, so that's why we call it a dedication. And that's needed to accumulate merit, you know. And then you could offer a mandala as well at the end of this aspect. Or you could use this 7-limb prayer in any daily practice, right? Because this is a very profound aspect. Normally we have 7-limb prayer in 7 lines, right? Yeah, there's various shorter texts in 7 lines. Probably you can squeeze it in 1 line if you want. yeah. But of course, if you want to do more elaborate, then if you have the 7 limbs, because this is one of the most common 7-limb prayer that has been done. Also in the Georgia practice, we see the same 7 limbs are there, right? Yeah, so taking out of the King of Prayers, you know. So yeah, that's just a very important aspect. And also when His Holiness gives the Bodhisattva vows, or when there's an initiation or something like that, and His Holiness said, okay, let's first recite a 7-limb prayer, it's always these verses, right? So that's very precious verses of the King of Prayers. Yeah. Oops, only 12 verses. Okay. The coming verses go a bit quicker, otherwise we... yeah. But 7-limb prayer is just very important, right? This is a very essential prayer for us we should engage in on a daily basis. And all the prayers, like if you do Lama Chöpa or whatever prayer you engage in, it always contains the 7 limbs, right? Yeah. So that's kind of very, very essential. Yeah. And that's there, you know, since the time Buddhas are, since time without beginning, in order to accumulate merit and purify, right? The verse of confessing is for the purpose of purification, yeah. And the remaining verses is for the purpose of accumulation of merit, yeah. So that's kind of what we say that kasa. Yeah, we need 2 things. We need accumulation of merit and we need to purify. So yeah, the verse on confessing is the purification aspect, and the other verses all in relation with accumulation of merit. Yeah. All right. So then maybe break time. No? Yeah. Break time. So now you have the 7-limb. You can put into practice in your break. Yeah. So yeah, let's have a break, and then we meet again. What is it? 12 o'clock? No? Yeah. Half an hour break. Is okay? People online? Is okay? We never really ask people online, but we do sometimes. But yeah, have your tea and your nice biscuits ready. Okay. Yeah. So let's dedicate with the 2 bodhicittas. Yeah. Chanju Senju Rinpoche Magye Panange Girji Gyaba Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gonda Belwar Sho Toni Tawa Rinpoche Magye Panange Girji Gyaba Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gonda Belwar Sho. Okay, enjoy your break.